It even gave me a countdown. Okay, so now I think we're all recording now.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Are
Okay,
we?
so this platform seems to be very fancy.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
it's
It was
very fancy. Well, hopefully it's working.
open.
Oh, okay. You just froze for 1 second, Tam, but I think you're good.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just going to get rid of the bounce off my floor. Hold on. Let me just disappear for a second.
Yep, no problem. Kelly, are you all hooked up?
I think so. Do I sound any better?
You sound good.
I do.
You sound great. Yeah,
Yeah.
you sound great.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, yeah. So okay. Well, anyway, so basically I just wanted to get together because it's been a while since we did a show. Did you guys happen
Somebody's
to
been
watch?
traveling around the world.
Oh my
Thinking,
God, Kelly.
hello, hello.
Crikey, you've
It's
been
like, what?
everywhere.
Like, can you just take us all with you? Holy moly!
I know. Well, that's the beauty of being unemployed.
All right.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about
Yeah.
kind of get an update from everyone because yeah, Kelly especially has been all over the place. I went to Korea and Tam, you've been busy with a
Yeah, you
bunch of
went to
different projects. I
Korea.
did, and we'll talk about that. It was great. It was apt. It made me cry.
Oh,
Well, we'll talk about that. But
in
anyway,
a good way?
Okay.
um, and I'm having such a back problem right now that I cannot get comfortable. Oh,
Oh,
golly.
no. I'm having back problems too. Is this an old lady thing?
No, that's what I'm thinking. We might have to do another episode about like what happens to our bodies because I'm having ailments like back ailments that I've never had before.
Are we sounding like our mothers?
Yes. Yeah, unfortunately, yes. So
Are
this
you
is.
sitting in a couch though, or in a chair?
I'm sitting in a chair with a pillow behind me. I mean, it's like, yeah.
The
I'm.
a really quick one, and I think you all know, of course, is turn your chair around.
What do you
Lean,
mean?
Oh, so you lean
back,
forward.
back of your chair, the back of your chair, turn it
Oh,
forward so you're leaning across. So at least it stretches the lower back.
ooh, that's a good tip.
Yeah,
Okay.
you could try it now if you want
Well,
to.
unfortunately, this chair has arms, so I can't
Oh.
Oh,
straddle it.
yeah,
Basically,
yeah.
yeah, I
That
can't
will be
straddle it.
awkward. Your legs will be dangling over the
Yeah, yeah.
ceiling.
I mean, I'm limber, but I'm not that limber. So,
No, my
um,
back has been so sore. So I'm getting ready for Burning Man, right?
Right, right.
yeah.
I'm doing all kinds of like arts and crafts. So yesterday I made my bike in my new bike that I got on Facebook Marketplace, and used bike. But I've been doing all this stuff. I made it into a rabbit with these giant floppy ears. But I was sitting on the floor, like making patterns, cutting stuff out, gluing things together.
Oh my
I
God.
could hardly stand up afterward. I mean,
Oh,
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 yeah.
was awful. Yeah,
Yes.
and this is not a thing that ever happened to me before.
huh.
Yep.
I'm not used to that.
Oh no, that happens to me when I'm brushing or grooming my dog and I'm
Right.
sitting on the floor, right? And or I'm bathing her like whatever. And I get up and I'm like, "Oh shit." I mean like it's like all tight and
Yes.
yeah.
Can I ask you though, really quickly, just trying to diagnose you guys as Dr. Tammy. How long have you guys been away
Away from what?
vacationing? And you
Well,
to
I was
Korea
gone for over a month.
for over a month, and then you, May, how long were you to
Two
Korea?
2 weeks.
That's enough. Because
What do you
again, when we're
mean?
older, if you're not doing the regular things, if you're not brushing and grooming your dog, every, however, what your routine is, and you're out of it for 2 weeks, your body has to readjust.
Do you think
Because
Yeah,
that's
it,
what
it
it
I'm not
is?
sitting on the floor very
yeah,
often doing
because again, yeah, because when we live at home, it's like, especially, and I'm not stereotyping you, but I am, Kelly, being Hawaii girl. We do everything on the floor. But
Yeah.
then if you're not living daily routine on the floor, and then all of a sudden you're crafting your rabbit ears,
Uh-huh.
it's like, oh shit, this is what I do on the reg. And
Yeah.
so
I
I think it's
used to sit on
Yeah.
the floor to watch television in front of the couch. Like we never sat on our couch as kids, or I
Yeah.
didn't anyway.
because
I
that's
always sat in
company.
front of the couch, in between like the couch and the coffee table,
Yeah,
and I ate my dinners there and
yeah,
everything, like in
I
front of the
still do
couch
that.
we still do that.
I
Oh
still
yeah,
do that.
on the
Yeah.
floor,
Yeah.
on
right?
the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is
On the,
that an Asian thing?
It's a total Asian thing.
I think
Okay.
it's an Asian thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean Koreans at least, I mean Japanese too. We
Oh
all
yes,
have the
yes, yes.
low tables where we sit
Right.
on the
Yeah.
floor to eat. And
Yeah.
so
Right.
my coffee table in my living room where the TV is, it's really low. I intentionally
Uh-huh.
bought a low coffee table where I can sit and
Yeah.
actually eat.
Yeah. And then my mother's is even lower than the regular standard coffee table. She wants it really low. I
Yeah.
mean, you
Does
really
she
can't.
still sit on the floor?
Oh yeah, my mother still does. My mother
She can
sleeps.
get up off the floor?
My mother sleeps on the floor. She's 88. She sleeps on the floor in a sleeping bag.
No, shut
What?
up.
What? What?
What?
In
Yeah,
her own house? Why?
that's what she wants. I'm
Wait,
glad
but why?
we're recording this. I'm glad because you could
Wait,
snip
why
it.
a sleeping bag though?
Because she doesn't want a mattress because there's nothing, because she's total old school. She
Is it
likes
like
it
the tummy?
No, it's for her back, and she has back problems too. And she's like, she prefers it. She had.
At
I
least
mean,
get
my brother bought a
the
freaking
carpet.
Tempur-Pedic bed, and he put it in her bedroom. It's too high, first of all, because she's 4'10", so
Ugh.
for her to climb into bed is too
Oh yeah,
low,
yeah, yeah.
and
Yeah.
she said it's too soft. She prefers sleeping on the floor. Sometimes she'll sleep on the. She says, "Oh, I slept on the couch today," and I go, "Wow."
Oh, fancy.
Wow, that's so interesting. Yeah. No, no, no. But if that's what she's used to, that makes sense that her body wants that
Yeah,
versus some fancy, mattress,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And she
I
sleeps with the blanket because the cats want it. Because the cats like to dig underneath her blanket while they're sleeping with her. So again,
oh,
so fun.
oh.
Wow. But at
Yeah.
least there's carpet, right? It's not like it's a hard
Correct.
floor.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
But it's a tile floor. That's the thing. That's how resilient my. It's a tile floor with a carpet on or the rug on top.
Wow.
Oh, so there's no padding or anything between. Oh, wow. Okay, that's
Not
that's
even
pretty
a wood
hardcore.
floor. Yeah,
Okay, let me
Yeah.
ask you something a little personal too. Does she use like one of those squat toilet thingies?
no, she doesn't like
She's
them.
not
I
that
think
old.
because she's too short. I think she's too short. And I don't know if the squat thing pushes her knees up too high. I don't know. We
Oh,
tried getting her one. She didn't like it.
Oh, no, no, no. Kelly, I think you're talking about the traditional squat
no,
toilets
no,
like in
no. I'm talking
Asia.
about those little block things that you
Yeah.
can
Oh, the
put like
squatty potty?
around your toilet.
Oh,
Yeah,
God,
the
yeah.
potty.
I
You
use the
ever
squatty
tried it?
potty.
You use it?
I do.
Does
Really?
it work?
Well, I mean, I think it does. Okay, this is
Yay.
like, is this TMI? Oh, who the fuck cares?
No. What are you
I
talking
think this is
about?
actually good to talk about because I'm obsessed. I am. Should be a whole different show, and I would be happy to talk about it. I'm obsessed with my bowel movements and digestion because I've always had IBS,
Oh.
irritable
Ooh,
bowel
that is
syndrome.
serious. That is
It
serious.
is. And
Yeah.
more than 20% of the American population actually suffers from IBS and they don't even know it.
Wow.
But Asians tend to have IBS as well, for different reasons, maybe
Makes me
diet, but
stress out.
maybe stress.
I'm actually surprised at that fact because and especially you being a Korean American heritage, eating so much kimchi,
Yeah, you would think so.
fermented, you think so, right?
You would
That's
think so.
surprising.
But
Okay.
Yeah.
it's
Wow.
mostly a stress thing, isn't it?
It's often it is often related to stress.
Mhm.
And I manifest all of my stress in my gut
Got
without
it.
a doubt.
Got it.
But it's also like the microbiome imbalance and all of that, the gut stuff. But I do use a squatty potty because of that.
Good for
And
You
you.
because
like
of the elevation of the legs, it basically opens up,
Yeah.
that area.
Yeah,
oh,
And it's,
physiologically, sure. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yay for you.
So,
Good for you.
I
Well,
gotta
and
give it a
are
try.
you considering it, Kelly?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I found
You should.
I saw these little collapsible block things.
yeah,
Uh,
that's what I have. Mine's really pretty, actually. It's not a plastic, like tacky
yeah,
looking
wooden,
thing.
wooden, right?
It's wooden,
Mhm,
and
mhm,
the
mhm,
legs, like creates this upside down sort of U, right?
mhm,
Like a
mhm, mhm.
stool, and
Right.
then the legs can collapse.
Right.
So
Okay.
it turns flat.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm
I
getting
highly
it on
recommend it.
Amazon right now.
Yeah, you should. I highly recommend it. No harm, no foul. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, then it's not like it's going to do anything
Yeah, and
detrimental.
then try it with your mom too, Kelly, because again, as we get older, it just helps for
I'm
every.
afraid she'll fall.
Yeah. See, again, is she petite too?
No, my mom's 5'7".
Oh,
She's
that's why.
Yeah,
really
her mom's tall.
yeah. Well, she might be 5'5" now. I don't know.
Wow.
She hasn't shrunk that much. She hasn't shrunk that much. She's still taller than me for sure.
She is tall. I remember when I met her last year, I was like, wow, your mom's
Wow.
tall.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
she's a big Hawaiian lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's big
Yeah.
boned too.
Yeah. So anyway, so okay, what were we talking? Oh, we were talking about back problems. Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly think, Tamlin, it might be because my routine was thrown off a little bit, but I honestly think what happened was I was
And your mom.
pulling crabgrass out of my
Oh,
lawn. And you know, we can't do the shit that we used to when we were
Right.
younger.
Yeah.
That's
Or
what I
else we need to
realized.
warm up. We need to warm up.
Didn't warm up, didn't stretch out, and I was pulling it like, you know, crabgrass can be really stubborn. It's like tug of war sometimes
yeah.
because they're long.
Yeah. It
When
goes
when
on
you start,
forever. Yeah.
it goes on forever, and you have to really pull it. And I was
Yeah.
pulling it, and I was standing up because I needed leverage, but
Hmm.
I was standing and bending over at the same time. I mean, bad idea, and I think I really
Yeah.
tweaked something.
Wait, so May, do you do all your own yard work?
No, I have a gardener.
But you're still pulling crabgrass.
I don't think the gardeners, the mow and
They don't-
blow guys,
they don't do
I
that.
say affection, they don't pull crabgrass unless you ask them to. Which,
Yeah.
but they're on their own schedule and routine every day.
Yeah,
So
and it's
crabgrass,
extra. It's extra for stuff like that or trimming trees and stuff
trimming
like
trees.
that. So I go out there and do it because it's actually kind of therapeutic when
Correct.
you kind of
Yeah.
go use your hands and stuff in the dirt and all
It's
that.
real an old lady thing,
both
isn't it?
your, yeah, didn't both your parents tell you to help pull weeds?
Oh my God, every weekend we
I
had to
wonder
do
if
it.
Yard.
yeah. Oh yeah, every weekend.
Every
And we had
weekend.
dichondra,
What's
What?
that?
which is this is I think this is something that happened in the 70s with Japanese American families who had gardeners for relatives.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Dichondra is this beautiful. It's not a blade grass. It's like actually flat leaves that lie perpendicular
Oh,
to the floor to the
oh,
ground, and it's called dichondra. And dichondra like was the rage in Japanese American homes. You just Google it, and then but the weeds would come in really easily, but
oh,
also the weeds would be pulled out easily as well. So
right.
that was the thing. Yeah.
But you had to do it by hand. I mean, that's the thing
Correct.
about weeding.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is
Correct.
that the one where you stepped on it? It was super soft under your feet.
Kind of, yeah, yeah. Dichondra, the grass, yeah, yeah.
I remember back in Hawaii when I was little before we moved out of our big house. I had this one neighbor who had awesome grass, and he
Yeah.
had just like this little strip of lawn, and I used to love tumbling on his grass. And
Yeah.
I would go to his house and knock on his door, and I'd be all, "Hi, Mr. Lum, can I play on your yard?" And he'd be like, yeah. And I'd just do cartwheels and tumbling because his grass was so soft.
Oh,
Wow.
Super well kept.
That's so
Mr. Lum. Thank you, Mr. Lum.
Oh, thank you,
oh,
Yeah.
oh. Okay, so here's the thing. I bet our listeners right now and our viewers are like,
What is
has the
going
show
on?
started or what the hell is going on right now? So I'm just okay. So what happened, everyone, is that I just started recording thinking like, oh, we just kind of like, you know, we would just sort of talk and then start, but we haven't even officially started the show. So here's the official start of the show. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another.
Hello.
Hi. No, but I'm going to include all of that we were
Yeah,
talking
of
about.
course.
But I just wanted to say,
Absolutely.
That's what people miss.
yeah.
Everybody
So this
needs
is
to hear about a good bowel movement.
oh,
Yeah.
absolutely, and I could talk about that for days. I could talk about colonics. I could talk about all of it.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, we have to have an anal show.
No, I'm
Like,
telling
it
you,
needs to be all about.
I know all of it. I've done it all. I've gone to cleansing retreats. I have my own
Oh my
colonic
God.
kit that I
Wow.
travel with. I mean, yes, we don't have to talk about it this episode, but I am ready.
Okay.
I'm
We
ready
need
to talk
book
about
this
it.
episode.
Wow. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
not about just your intake, it's your outtake as well. Yeah. Your
It's,
output.
yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
it's so important.
Yeah.
You know, your colon health and bowel health is really important.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we'll save that for another show.
Okay.
So yeah, so we were saying that we've all been kind of all over the planet, especially Kelly. You were traveling for about a month. You were like all over the place, right?
Yeah.
You were in
Travelogue. Yeah.
Croatia first. I think you went to Croatia first.
I started in Croatia, and then I got on a cruise with 99 other friends. We rented out this whole boat called Sea Dream, which is like one of these super luxury, like massive yachts. Um,
Wow.
and we had the whole boat to ourselves, and so there was a lot of crazy shit that was going on. But but
You
Oh,
we
have, wait a minute, Kelly, you have 99 friends that you would
I
actually
don't.
go.
I was just an invited guest.
Okay.
Believe me, I don't have 99 friends. Um, but yeah, it was a really really awesome group. We had like dress up parties. So we were in Croatia in Dubrovnik where they filmed Game of Thrones.
right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So there was
Beautiful.
a Game of Thrones night where everybody got dressed up, and some people went all out. I
Oh, I'm
mean,
sure.
they must have had
Naked
suitcases
and not
just for
afraid.
their outfits.
Oh,
There
yeah.
were like swords and bells and giant skirts and armor. I mean, what the?
How did they
Anyway,
even pack that? Jesus.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah. And anyway, so there was that. There was a red party. Then anyway, we ended the cruise in Venice, and then I kind of hijacked my roommate's tour. She was like, "You want to come share rooms with me?" I was like, "Okay." And so we stayed in Venice, went to Florence and Rome, where I got to finally check something off my bucket list, which had been on for like 30 years. So I had been to Rome like 30, literally like 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And on the last, I saved the Sistine Chapel for the last day, but on the last day or the night before, I went out with some friends and I got food poisoning. So I couldn't go see the Sistine Chapel on the last day. I could barely make the flight.
Oh
And
man.
Oh my
for
God.
30 years, I was like, I got to do this. So it was the middle of June, high season, super hot. I would never ever recommend anybody to do this during that time. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just keep walking from room to room to room, and it's like, Disneyland, where you get in the line and you think you're there, but then there's like a whole other room.
Mm.
It was like that. It took like an hour to get to into the Sistine Chapel, and it was really dark and little, and I didn't even know I was in it until I looked up, and
Right.
then
Right.
I saw and I was like, "Oh, this
Oh.
is it." It felt kind of anticlimactic.
No, really?
Yeah.
Wow. My experience was different, but definitely I didn't go during high season.
Correct.
Oh,
Maybe
Yeah.
that's why.
Yeah.
maybe that's why. And it was
Yeah.
dark, right? They keep the
Mm,
room quite dark.
I don't remember it being dark.
It's not artificially lit. That's why. I don't think if I
Yeah, it's not
remember
lit.
any
Oh,
any lamps or any
Right.
fluorescent lights for sure.
Right.
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 It's pretty dark. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's naturally lit. So,
And
but
then
Okay.
anyway,
it's much
so
smaller than it's much
It's
smaller
much
than
more.
you imagine. Yeah.
That's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
smaller.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be some like grand cathedral. You expect it to be giant, right? With all this
Yeah.
gold gilt all around. It was not that.
Right.
Yeah.
But because you figure, the Vatican's got all this money, you
Right.
would have thought that they would have put it in the Sistine Chapel,
Right.
but they don't. And then after that, I was going to go to Paris for the Olympics, but
Oh.
but
Ooh.
but it was a bit of a mess there, as far as like the protesters and setting trains on fire and things like
Yeah.
that. So I decided to skip it, even though going to an Olympic Games is on my bucket list.
Hmm.
You're going to
But
be here in
I'll just wait
2028.
2 years
Yeah.
and go
Exactly.
in LA. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'll do that. I'll manage some games. Hopefully an opening ceremony. That would be amazing. But
Got to work on tickets now, girl.
right.
Those are covered. Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to one Olympics in Beijing, the 2008 Olympics.
Did you go to that one?
Yes. And I went to a lot of the games. I was very lucky. And the only reason why is because I had friends who worked for Visa and other sponsors.
Okay.
Wow.
And so
That
they
was
were,
the most amazing opening ceremonies.
well, that opening ceremonies, I don't think can be ever be beat.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the most incredible opening ceremonies.
No,
Yeah,
because in
Yeah.
other countries you probably have to pay professionals.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the bonus of having a working collective society. It's like everybody
Exactly.
wants to look good together. So
Yeah.
Right.
Um,
Right.
But anyway, but yeah,
Wow.
going to the Olympics is an experience for sure, not to be
Yeah,
missed. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm going to do it for sure in LA. And
yeah.
hopefully the high speed rail will be finished by then.
Oh,
So,
yeah, I think so.
yeah, going
What,
from Vegas to LA.
what would you consider going to the Winter Olympics? Is that your thing too? Because
I don't like being cold.
you're such a Hawaii girl.
I don't know how.
Everybody's so cold.
I
It's
seriously do
cold.
not know how to dress for cold weather. I always put on
Layers.
layers and then I end up sweating my ass off and
Yeah.
then I'm like wet when I'm like go outside. It's ridiculous. It's there's a learning curve to like
Okay.
dressing for
So
winter.
so the answer is no Winter Olympics for
No
Kelly
Winter
Who.
No,
Hey
no.
Siri, where is the 2026 Winter Olympics?
Well, isn't there one coming up soon?
Yeah, 2 years from now.
Oh, it's in Milan.
Yes, it's yeah, Milan. That's right.
Oh,
Yes. And who knew? Okay, this is something I learned geographically. I had no idea that there were mountains for Winter
Oh, the
Olympics in
Apennines.
Milan,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
then I
and
was
the Dolomites. Yeah, yeah.
yes, I didn't realize it was like near Milan,
Yeah,
you
it's
know.
because you have to think. I mean, again, logically, and it's not to be, it's just to relearn everything. Italy continues from the Swiss Alps, so it's the Dolomites
Right.
and the Apennines or whatever
Yes.
that mountain range is. And again, going back to the Sistine Chapel, it's like because it was only Michelangelo. He didn't have a team of painters painting the Sistine Chapel, so it's much smaller than because again, how many years it did take for him to complete it? But it's such a
yeah.
such a monumental feat. But again, yeah. So go to Milan for the Winter Olympic. You're just right there in Italy, so it might be.
I might be able to do that because I
Yeah,
have a friend that lives in Milan and I can just like
There you go.
there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm all about like sleeping on people's couches. So
Oh,
so
because everybody sleeps on your couches too. Because it's like, hey,
totally.
come over, come here. So local goes.
I love it
Yeah,
too.
I know.
So yeah, so then after that, I instead of going to Paris, I canceled that, but I went to south of France to go and visit some friends in a
Ooh,
tiny little town an hour from Toulouse. It
mm,
was beautiful. It was wine country. It was absolutely
wow.
tons and tons of sunflowers. And this is something that I thought was interesting. You know how we were always taught like sunflowers face the sun and
mhm.
like move with the sun? Not true. Because
Oh, really?
I went to go take some pictures in these fields of sunflowers because
Yeah,
they grow sunflowers for sunflower oil there.
yeah.
And they were facing their backs to the sun.
They're rebel sunflowers. Yeah,
Huh, that's weird.
yeah.
Maybe they were
all
taking a
in the
break.
same direction, but away from the sun. So somebody explain.
Maybe they don't face it when it's like too hot or something. I don't know.
Maybe it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
very
yeah,
hot.
Yeah,
yeah.
And
I've
then
heard. Yeah.
and then I ended my trip in London. I stayed at my friend's flat in London for a week, and that was awesome.
Dang.
Yeah. So yeah, I was gone for over a month.
Yeah,
Wow.
it
I would
was
have
a
stayed
while.
longer, but I had to come back for Burning Man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Which
yeah, yeah.
I know, which she's going to like at the end of
In a
this
couple
week,
of
right?
days. Yeah.
So, so yeah, no, that sounds like an amazing trip. I mean, we were obviously looking at all your photos online and stuff. It looked
And you know
beautiful.
what? I had way, way, way more photos and I did a lot more traveling. I stopped posting because I was thinking, is it smart to be posting
Where
that
you
you
are.
are away on a trip
And where
in
you are.
Europe
Yeah.
and where I'm
Yeah.
not so concerned about where you are because it's like, hard to find me,
Right.
but that
Your house.
somebody can find out where you live and come rob your house.
Yes,
Exactly.
that's what
Exactly.
happens. They
That's
say
what.
that they say the safety experts say you shouldn't
Correct.
So I
because
stopped. I
then
stopped posting.
then you become a target.
Oh, but now
Um,
everybody knows I'm leaving for Burning Man.
oh, Kelly,
Okay.
who stop
Yeah.
telling people that you're traveling.
Your army of warriors is guarding your house. So.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh
Wow.
my gosh.
Well, I
Yeah.
do
Well,
live in a guard gated community, so that helps.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think you're okay. I think
Yeah.
you're okay. No, and I went to Korea for 2 weeks this
Yes.
summer in June. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Did
was
you
asked
take
to.
it home?
No, I really wanted to,
Yeah.
but as many of you know, she was suddenly diagnosed with a very aggressive form of cancer, and this happened only a week after I came back from Korea.
Oh,
And so she's just started chemo treatments. In fact, I have to take her to her second session this week.
Mm, mm.
So before that, there were some things we were testing, so we didn't really know what was going on, and so she didn't want to travel. She didn't think she could handle it.
Mm.
So it's
Mm,
probably
mm.
good that she didn't go because of what transpired. But no, it's so I went to Korea because I was invited to speak at this global event that was called Going Together. The English translation sounds a little weird, but it said Going Together with the Socially Neglected. So the whole concept was
Oh,
bringing people, experts from all over the world, to talk about how we can develop policies and services to help the socially neglected, like the elderly, like mental health
mental health.
issues,
Yeah,
economic issues,
right.
childhood welfare, things like that, all these different topics.
Mhm.
And so I'm sure you're saying, so why was May asked to come speak at this? That's what my first question was. I was like, why are you inviting me? So interestingly, they wanted me to share my experiences growing up as a Korean American states in Middle America, faced with racism and discrimination, and how I overcame those obstacles to become a journalist and storyteller, and then how my journalism has sort of been shaped by those experiences.
Mm,
Mm.
mm.
So that's why they wanted to invite me to take part in this. So it was great. It was just a 1-day event, and then my fiance Andre, I asked him to come with me because he had never been to Asia, certainly never to Korea, but never Asia.
Wow.
Never
Yeah,
Asia.
never to Asia, right?
And
He's
he's
been
a
to all
Swiss
over.
dude, to
He's
remind
a
everybody.
Swiss guy. He's been all over Europe. He's been to Africa, South America, but never Asia. So I was like, well, do you want to come with me? He's like, absolutely. So he came with me, and we had the most amazing time. And he was blown. He loves Korea. He's like, I could live here. Yeah.
Ah,
Yes, he was just like, I
Mm.
could live here. He even said, it reminds me of Switzerland. And I'm like,
Huh?
okay, wait, how is that? I don't
Switzerland
understand.
smells like
mm,
garlic too.
I was like, but then he explained himself. I'm like, and then it made sense. He said, because it's very clean, like
uh-huh.
Seoul is
Yeah.
very clean. He's like, it's very efficient, just like Japan. He's like, when the bullet train leaves, says it's gonna leave at 9:58, it's gonna leave at 9:58,
Yeah.
like on the nose,
Whether
right?
you're like walking through the door with your suitcases or not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
It's leaving, right? And
yeah.
he loves that efficiency because like Switzerland, right?
Yeah.
Everything's on
Right,
time.
right, right.
And he just loved the sort of the cultural aspect. And then he said it was very green. So when we were taking the
Yeah.
train from Seoul to
Mm.
Busan, we took the high-speed train. He was just like, God, it's so green here. And I'm like, yeah, the countryside is very
Even in the
green.
summertime.
In the
I guess it
summertime, for
rains a
sure.
lot, huh?
Yeah, yeah. So we had just the best time, and I'll tell you, I cried a couple times when I was there
Why?
because I haven't been to Korea in like 14 years, so it's been a while for me too.
Mm.
But
Mm.
I just looked around and I couldn't believe how many tourists from every corner of the world were there,
Right,
and
right.
loving it and dressing up in like hanboks, traditional, and taking photos in front of the palaces, and just tourists telling me, talking to me, they're like, oh my God, I love this country so much. The people are so nice. The food is extraordinary. Because for me, growing up as a kid in Ohio, when nobody knew what the fuck Korea was,
Right.
where I was from, made fun of me and my food all the time.
Mm.
And to then now see how much the country has developed and become this worldwide phenomenon
Mm,
that
Yeah.
people
In
want
such a short
to,
time.
in such a short time, that
yeah.
people want to experience. That was mind blowing to me. And I'm like tearing up right now talking about it because I used to
Oh.
be embarrassed, right, as a kid, because
Mm,
nobody knew what Korea was. And now I'm like, oh my God, the world can't get enough of
right,
Yeah.
everything Korean.
right,
Mm.
right,
So
right.
it was an experience for me personally to
Right.
be there and to kind of witness it firsthand. It made me very proud.
Yeah.
Made me
Yeah.
so proud. Yeah.
You
Oh.
think about it, it's it hasn't been that long. I mean, it's been within our parents' lifetime
Oh,
that
yeah.
Korea was at war and the Seoul was destroyed. There were like
Yep.
bombs and for them to come back so quickly
Mm,
and not just come back and but to like thrive and like
right,
take over,
right,
culturally,
Yep.
like
right.
like Korean K-pop is huge.
Right.
Korean dramas are huge.
Yep.
Everybody
Beauty.
K
Squid
beauty, K
Games,
Oh
food.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Korean food, like
Yeah.
everybody loves Korean barbecue.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible
It
how
is.
quickly and Samsung, LG, these companies are humongous.
Yep.
Some of the biggest in the world.
I
Mhm,
mean,
mhm.
it's this, you can equate it to also the Japanese experience, Japan, right? Having been destroyed by World
Yeah.
War II and
Mhm,
it coming back,
mhm,
just with a roar. So Korea, same thing,
mhm,
it
mhm.
came,
I
it
have
was
a
destroyed after World War II and the Korean War. So
Right,
yeah.
I
right,
have a theory. I have a theory about this.
Mm.
I think that tiger moms have a big reason, are a big reason for this, because I feel like when you have a whole country of tiger moms who push their kids super super hard, you're going to get all of these super smart kids who are super hardworking, like
Yeah,
entering the
maybe so.
workforce.
Well, I'll tell you, Kelly. I mean, that's a good point, which is I think when you're so deprived and you've gone through so much suffering,
Hmm.
completely war torn, devastated with nothing, of course that's going to make you more driven and hungrier,
Right.
to succeed,
Hmm.
because you had nothing. They had nothing, right?
Mhm,
They were left
mhm,
with nothing. And
Yeah.
what I really, really was moved by, and I tell you this, and this might be a good segue into talking about the elections. I went to the War Museum. What Andre really
Oh,
wanted to go, the War Museum, and it
oh.
was the history of Korea, really, basically from its beginnings of always having had, being conquered.
Yeah.
Right,
Mhm,
Korea
mhm,
has been conquered so many times, over and over and over again.
mhm,
But
mhm,
during the Korean War, the history is so revealing. If it hadn't been for America and the other 21 allies
mhm,
who came to the rescue,
mhm,
Korea would not be what it
mhm,
is now. It
mhm.
would be completely communist. The
Right.
Yeah.
North, the North and the communists were about to take over the entire peninsula. The only thing left was Busan, the one southern town in the southern tip of Korea, the peninsula. That's all that was left. That's why so many people fled from different parts of Korea to Busan. And that was it. That was going to be the end. But then the US and the Allies came in, and MacArthur, fucking General MacArthur, had this unbelievable plan to invade Incheon from the north and start like sweeping the whole peninsula. If that hadn't happened, I wouldn't be here today. South Korea wouldn't be, what it is today. None of
We
it.
would have no K dramas or
No K dramas, no K pop, no BTS, no Blackpink. But I mean, when I saw really the depiction of this visually, I
Oh,
started weeping. I started crying in this museum because I was like, I cannot believe
you're
it.
so
No
proud.
wonder my mom is to this day is so grateful to America
oh yeah.
and the American troops who
Right.
fought, because she's like, if it weren't for them,
Yeah.
she would be
We would
dead.
have
Our
our
whole
life. Yeah.
family would be gone.
Yeah.
Does she put out
So
a flag for all the
yeah,
occasions?
she thanks the veterans all the time. She goes to occasions to
Mhm,
thank
mhm,
them, and
mhm,
like the Koreans will like do a luncheon for all the veterans, and so she'll always go to that. So yeah, so it moved me to tears just seeing
Mhm.
that history, and so that's where history is so important for us to realize, kind of all the service,
right. The
that the
service.
United States and allies around the world
Right.
have given their lives,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
For
That's
freedom and democracy.
Yeah.
And
Beautiful
and
segue, May.
thank you.
Yes.
And that
Yes.
that is what we are
Yes.
fighting for. That's
Right.
what we're voting for.
And
That's
hopefully,
what
yeah, everybody will be seeing that Kelly's in the center with her T-shirt that says "Vote," and then
Yes.
mine,
Oh,
yeah, mine is much more. Yeah,
I
mine is.
love, okay, I've seen that shirt online. You have one,
great.
Tam.
Oh, how
So,
cute!
so,
It's oh,
May
I
and
love it.
Kelly, send me our addresses so I can FedEx you one.
I
Um,
love it.
yeah.
Yes.
I
I did not
did
know
you
the
did I did
percent.
I okay, I joined the cat ladies for Kamala
Yeah.
Zoom call. I don't have cats, but I was like, fuck it, I'm a dog lady, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
join
And
that call
yeah,
too.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
It
You're
was
welcome.
hilarious. It was great, but there's been so many of these groups that have formed
Right.
to fundraise for Kamala.
Right.
We all joined. I think Tam, you obviously were one of the speakers for AANH for Kamala. There
Right.
was an AANH for Kamala.
Right.
There's been white dudes for Kamala. There's been,
Like women,
Af-
Kamala.
white women for Kamala. I mean, just everything,
Right.
every
Every
representation you can
iteration.
imagine,
Yeah.
Yeah,
which
we can all
says
pull out our pink hats. Remember
the pussy
Oh
hats.
yeah.
the
Oh
cat
yeah.
thing?
My cat things. Yeah,
Well,
my cat.
guess what? They're organizing a march for September 14th, the Women's
Oh,
March.
oh, the
Um,
Women's March for
yeah,
Kamala.
they're going to do a women's march on September 14th. I've seen that posted several times on social
Are they
media.
gonna do it redo it here in LA starting at Pershing Square?
I hope so, but I'm
Oh,
going to be in France. I'm going to a friend's wedding, so maybe we'll do a mini one in France or something. But
Oh,
yes,
cute.
oh
yeah, I'm
wow.
going to a friend's wedding. So speaking of France, but yeah, but yes, September 14th. So it looks like, look, there's no doubt that there is this unbelievable momentum
Sure.
has taken place in the last three
This
three
all
weeks.
was going on when I was in Europe. And
Yes.
so I did not have access to television or news or anything. I was just seeing stuff on like Instagram, and my friends were just in awe of this wave going, and
Sure.
I was, from afar going, what's going on? Like, I'm not seeing any of it, right?
Mm,
It
And
mm,
but
mm.
yeah, I guess
it's
it was
amazing.
really happening.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've been dying to talk to you, Tam, about this because you've been front and center, obviously, in this movement, and you head up, the uh,
PAC.
the
A PAC
pack.
called Kappa
Yes,
21. Yeah,
Kappa
Kappa 21
21.
slash Asian
Um,
Americans for Democracy. So
so
yeah.
tell us what it's been like being part of it and in it and seeing this unbelievable swing
It's
in this movement.
it's again, I think I posted something super late because again, or persons are going, oh my God, Tamlyn Tomita, I didn't know she's a Democrat. It's like, have you been paying attention?
Oh,
Again, but
what?
you just start out with, I guess the whole idea of what really change is, and that really can, for a lot of Gen Zers, Gen Xers, millennials, they can say it probably started with Obama, and it's like hope,
Mhm.
change. It happens slowly. Yes, we can. Si se puede. And with Hillary stronger together, still with, I posted that. And it's about really being realistic and saying that change happens slowly. When we elect Kamala and Tim, change is not going to happen overnight. It's
Yeah,
still going to be a struggle. People
right.
are still calling out for her birther, if she's allowed because she's the
Are they
daughter
doing
of,
that again?
oh yeah, to immigrants. The fact is, even our own party, they celebrate and they, emulate the fact that she's the first woman running for president. Is like, no, remember
No,
our
she's
histories.
yeah.
Yeah.
Even counting the Republican Party, on that top of the ticket is Sarah Palin. On
Hmm.
the top of the ticket, Tulsi Gabbard ran. On the top of the ticket, Amy Klobuchar.
Yep.
Women have been running consistently in the last 20, 30 years. But what I really am trying to advocate for is, it's not the erasure, it's just the inclusion of making sure that we say Kamala Harris is the first Asian American woman slash Black woman
Yep.
to run for president, to be on top of the ticket, because Patsy Takemoto Mink from the state
Patsy
of
Mink.
Hawaii is the first woman of color elected to Congress and the
Yep.
first Asian American Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander to run for president. 71. She preceded Shirley Chisholm. There are some technical things, but having her followed by Shirley Chisholm, an Asian golden woman, followed by a Black woman, running in 71, 72,
Yep.
that
Wow.
is the culmination of who Kamala Harris is to me personally, and to consistently say she's a woman of black. She's a Black African American woman slash Asian American Native Hawaiian Pacific. That's where all the word jumble comes in, because there's so many things we want to make sure that people who look like us and who align with us and who have an affinity with us, to make sure that we're all included, that we're all
Included.
seen. And so that's
Exactly.
what we're always trying to push. And within the 7, well, they say sometimes it's 9 and sometimes it's 11 battleground states, it's the electoral college system that we're still um,
Ugh.
we're operating on.
Frustrates the hell out
So
of me.
just
Yeah,
making sure that, yes, of course, our blue walls along the coastal states, on the East Coast and the West Coast, we got to concentrate on the Midwestern states and the Sun Belt to make
for
sure
sure.
that Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islanders are within the margin of victory. And if we could just activate them and say, you are a part of the fabric of this country, newly immigrated, fourth, fifth, sixth generation, that you have a voice and that your voice is important in how we move this country forward. Because
Mhm.
we're not going back. We cannot go back because
Nope.
we've been back and it didn't work for all of us. So
Mhm.
making sure that and again, with the realistic idea that just because the DNC is going on right now and it feels so good, it feels so good to feel the confetti, to feel the warmth, to feel the joy, and to feel the hope. Hello, Kat.
The cat has to make an
Yes,
appearance because we're talking about Kamala. Yep.
yes,
Hmm.
and just to make sure that change is slow, and
Yep.
to be realistic, and we're going to be with Kamala and Tim and voting up and down the ballot blue, because I think that's the correct, easiest way to make sure that our country progresses forward.
Wait,
Tamla,
Sam, how
first,
come you're not there?
yeah, that's right. I know. I
Because
thought you would be
I
there.
thought I was supposed to be there, but I had a work call. So the work call, and I don't know
Oh,
if I could say it yet, but it was overseas, and it was struck by a typhoon.
Oh, so you couldn't
So
go.
we couldn't go, but
Ah,
I didn't want to scramble, and I think Kelly and May, we are all this generation is like we're of course we're engaged active women, but if we can encourage or give our seat up to a younger woman,
mm,
I would rather do that. I don't want to scramble to retake my position, or to take a place or take a seat. It's like, give it to a younger woman who's already there and say, take it and sit in that room when she accepts the nomination for being president of the United States.
I've
I love
I've
that.
been there, and it is moving.
Yeah.
I was there in 2008
Oh,
with
you were.
Obama,
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
and I got to sit on the floor
Yeah.
with the Hawaii delegation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when that announcement came out, where all like the governor, the all the supporters, the guys who were very close, people who knew his parents as well,
Yeah.
they just started hugging each other and crying. Oh, it
Oh,
brings me to tears right now
Yeah.
thinking about it.
Yeah.
yeah.
It was so moving. People were just in tears and crying, and so
Openly. Yeah.
open men, grown men
Yeah.
crying and hugging each other.
Yeah.
Not surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was because it was so monumental for so many reasons. And it
Right?
was, like you said, Tamlin, it was that idea of hope
Yeah.
and change and, the future.
Yeah.
And this movement feels like that, right? There's a lot of comparisons, to the
Yeah.
Obama era and Kamala, because it does represent moving forward
Yeah.
Mhm,
and looking towards a future rather than going back,
Yeah.
mhm.
right? And all the hatred and the division that unfortunately the other party seems to be
Yeah.
promoting,
and
right?
and, and just younger generations or persons who don't know, it's like Obama was not on board with the LGBTQ plus IA movement
Yeah,
because he admittedly evolved,
which is
whereas
what.
Kamala
Yeah,
is right there front and forward saying love is love is love. It's like,
yeah,
pay attention. So again, it's helpful, and it's also hopeful to know that we can evolve. That's what progress
yes,
is. We can
that's right.
learn from a position that we've taken for the majority of our lives, but even at this late stage of life, go, oh my God, I can still learn, I can still be of service, I can still think of others, I can still
Yeah.
do better. So
And you
that
can change, and people can change their minds about a position if they are willing to be open and learn more about that particular topic, right?
correct.
Because
Absolutely.
I think what happens is that people expect politicians, especially, to have a position, stay on that position no matter what, and
Yeah.
never veer
Never
from
evolve.
a position and never evolve. But if it's an evolution, that's positive. But if it's going backwards, that's another thing. For instance, JD Vance, right? It's a nice segue right there.
Oh,
Trump's running mate, right? This is a guy who on the record said that Trump was like Hitler, that he hated Trump,
he's
everything
America's
about
Hitler.
him,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
now he's completely done a 180. That's not evolution.
No.
That's not what I'm talking about, changing position for the good.
Yeah.
He's doing it because he's an opportunist,
Personal, yeah,
right? For
personal
Yeah.
gain.
personal gain, and just like Trump, right? So
Right.
It's a
that's the
shame. I love his
difference.
book.
Yeah, I mean, his book was a bestseller. I
Yeah,
even sat
it was
down and
awesome.
watched the movie on Netflix because I was so curious as to how this story was going to be brought to life.
Yeah,
And
Oh,
it
yeah.
and it
and
it was nominated for a bunch of awards because it was Amy Adams and Glenn Close, and
Ron
it was
Howard. Right.
Ron Howard.
Hmm.
It was well done, but I have
it was not nearly as good as the book.
as the book. Okay, so I did not read the book, so that's
I listened to it.
Oh, you okay?
That's
No,
reading. That
the
is, yeah, reading the words,
The reason why there's a reason why, it was a New York Times bestseller, of course.
Mhm.
Now he comes from Middletown, Ohio. Middletown is like 30 minutes from where I grew up.
Oh,
Oh yeah, I know
Girl, you grew
Middletown.
up in the boonies.
Well, Dayton was not as boony-esque as Middletown, but it was that close. So I
okay.
know Middletown really, really well in actually kind of a scary way because Middletown was the headquarters of one of the biggest KKK branches in the
Right.
country.
Right.
Oh shit.
So
Yeah.
there were always KKK meetings and rallies going on. And I grew up worried about the KKK on a regular basis. Yeah. That was
Wow.
my existence and my association to Middletown. So I knew what Middletown was about. And I'm not suggesting at all that everyone in Middletown was like this at all. But it was that tone, that
There was a
undertone.
presence there,
Yeah.
absolutely, that
Yeah.
was not hidden. It was out there.
It was that out there. It was that
Wow.
out there. So
Anyway, JD Vance is not a racist. I mean, he did marry an Indian woman, right?
well, that's a very interesting topic that I would love to discuss because I think I can't wrap my head around. I can't wrap my head around this at all.
Mm,
That he married a South Asian woman, Usha Vance, where they met they met in college, right? She seems brilliant, right?
Of
She
course.
apparently was working for a law firm in San Francisco up until she just stepped down because of JD Vance's run vice presidential run.
Oh,
The law firm that she worked for in San Francisco apparently was very liberal and
mhm,
was accused of being too woke
mhm,
and
mhm.
liberal. And she also voted Democratic in different midterm elections. So yeah, that's a strange thing with her. I don't understand like what her position is and how she can sort of rectify this situation. With JD Vance, I think it's your typical look, Donald Trump married several immigrants, but he's still anti-immigrant. So you can still be
Both things,
associated.
yeah, it's not mutually exclusive.
It's not
Yeah,
mutually exclusive.
yeah. And each individual has his or her own reasons as to why they take a position. And again, I would like to say nobody's racist until they're proven to be. So I will, yeah, because again, and it's kind of unfair, I think, for the American public to subject the spouses, but because they are also the spouses of our leaders, again, it's both. They should be subject to some scrutiny. So I
Yeah.
feel sorry for them because they didn't ask for it, but I think that's the
well,
discussion that with every candidate to talk to their spouse. It's like, are you in it with me? And it's like, yeah, she is, because she said she gave her assent, to making sure to saying JD go run. It's like,
So,
okay,
but how do you think those conversations go on in the
I
household,
don't
in the
know.
Vance
Isn't
household,
it?
right?
Yeah,
Because she's South Asian, his wife.
right,
Kamala is part South Asian,
right.
right? And
Both
so,
daughters of immigrants.
right, both
Yeah.
daughters of immigrants.
Mhm.
And so therefore, but then he's the running mate of a man who is anti-immigrant, has spewed hate against, brown and black people and Asians.
Yeah.
And so how does that, do you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's
well,
something that I can't understand,
hopefully he
like what
brings a
goes on.
balance. Hopefully he brings a balance. I mean,
Who?
on that ticket, JD Vance. brings a balance to Trump's ticket, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of why they chose him. Is
No, 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 no,
they
no.
already got that far right locked in.
I
What
mean,
they need is somebody that's more middle of the road, and
he's
he,
not, but Kelly, he's so not middle of the road. That's the problem. If you what you're suggesting was true, that would be great. You'd be like, oh my God, at least someone sane is part of the ticket. But
that's what I thought it was when
no,
he was chosen.
unfortunately, no. He is a mini Trump.
And he's being tested and showcased and trotted out to speak on behalf of the Trump Vance ticket all by himself. I
Yeah.
think that's what's really, really indicative of the ruthlessness of the top of the ticket. Donald J. Trump is like he's just throwing him out, to
Oh
be
yeah.
eaten by wolves, and
Yeah.
he's flailing,
Yeah.
flailing and
Flailing.
flailing and failing. And
Yeah.
there's a kind of sympathy because it is vicious, but
It's ruthless.
yeah, it's ruthless. It's ruthless
But
because
that's Trump.
you're
Yeah.
subject, but you're also subject to the judgment of the American people. And it's like you asked for it, you said yes, and it's like
Yeah.
go for it. But
That's true.
Wait,
yeah,
are Republicans not supporting him?
I'm sorry.
Republicans are not supporting JD Vance?
What's really interesting is like you see the what the GOP. So I will always respect the Republican Party because conservatism does have values. Conservatives have their the system of lower taxation and smaller government, which is not a bad thing. It's just that's the balance we're always looking for. But when its own party is subjecting both JD Vance and his wife Usha's kids with Indian names and saying one of his sons has an Indian name named Vivek, and they're associating that child already with Vivek Ramaswamy, who is that far right extremist, also South Asian. It's like, where are you in terms of really valuing and uplifting and supporting your own vice presidential candidate?
Just because his name is Vivek, I mean, our
Yeah.
Surgeon General's name is Vivek.
Correct.
No, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Some of these extremist commentators have been, saying, how can these, these people be American if they have a kid named Vivek?
How can
I mean,
you be
they're
American for marrying an Indian woman?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And she's
So
the Indian with the red dot on her forehead. It's like the comments out there are, again, I don't even want to address it. But again, if we start to look at their policies as to the real substantive issues, it's like, what are you saying, Mr. Vance? And it is in alignment with Mr. Trump. So again, it's
It is. He has to be because that's
yeah, no.
But
Exactly, because we know who Donald Trump is. He has shown us who he is truly over and over again, right? So he would never associate himself. He would certainly not agree to a running mate who did not identify completely 100% with what he wants, and the way he wants it. He wants yes men all over him or all around him.
Loyalty. He wants loyalty. He
That's
wants obedience to a king. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Because
And
that's what he wants to be.
also
Yes.
JD Vance and his association with Project 2025.
wait,
All of you should read Project 2025. And I'm not making fun of anybody who hasn't had the time and opportunity to read it. Somebody out there on the Democratic side should read it as an audiobook. So for those of us who don't have the time to read it, can listen to it, because that's how a lot of us consume books, is that in our spare time we plug in our headphones and really listen to what's going on to Project 2025.
Okay, so Project 25. Guys, we're so brilliant at all these segues in this show. I don't know how we do it. So Project 2025. I knew that this would come up, so I actually put together Cliff Notes. I haven't read all 900 pages of it, so I did it the easy way, and I used AI to help me.
Yeah.
That's when AI really is very advantageous.
That's how it should be.
So Project 2025, I'm just going to briefly go through this just because I think this is really important for all of us to know whatever side you're on. Okay. So it's an initiative by the Heritage Foundation aiming to prepare a comprehensive conservative governance strategy in anticipation of the 2025 presidential transition. The project is a collaboration between more than 70 conservative organizations. It focuses on shaping federal policies and staffing key positions across the government. Okay, so that's what it's about. But here are the main highlights that people have a problem with. Okay.
Right.
So they want to overhaul civil service.
Right.
So that means including restructuring the federal civil service system, making it easier to fire federal employees who aren't in compliance with ideology, basically. So the
So if you're
controversy is they would get rid of civil servants who
or
are doing their job as government employees, replacing them with more conservative ideals, right? So that could be very dangerous. Regulatory rollbacks. So the project advocates for rolling back regulations across various sectors, particularly those in environmental regulations, labor protection, financial regulations, things like that. So imagine what that
Education. Yeah.
as you imagine what happens if you start wiping that out and then putting your own people in and changing all policy. Immigration policies, definitely they want to change. They want to change limiting asylum claims, increasing deportations, reducing legal immigration quotas. So they're saying what could potentially happen, it will lead to widespread human rights violations, separate families, and damage the U.S. economy.
Right.
Climate change and energy policy, they basically just want to wipe out all climate change policy,
Yeah.
pull out of any agreements internationally, and then aid in more drilling and things that are obviously going to be harmful to the climate. Won't give a shit about harm done to communities, people, the climate. Okay. Judiciary restructuring. They want to change the whole judiciary, basically get rid of the DOJ, right? And so they'll appoint judges that only will adhere. It kind of sounds like the Supreme Court at this point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, basically, what the Supreme Court has become, the entire judiciary system will follow suit. Okay, imagine if that happens. Healthcare reform. It's going to dismantle Obamacare, the
Right.
Affordable Health Care Act,
Yeah.
meaning millions of people will lose healthcare immediately.
are they
especially
putting something else in place?
no,
No.
no,
Privatized insurance.
privatized.
Yeah.
So only those who can afford
Businesses.
insurance
Yeah.
will be able to get insurance. Everybody else can go fuck off,
Yeah.
basically. Okay. Education and social policies want to get rid of basically the Department of Education. They want to put more funding into private schools and less into public schools. And then
Schools have
basically
nothing as it is. They can't
exactly.
I know.
And then force the schools to adhere to more conservative values and policies, right? So
I
definitely getting rid of education, critical race theory, gender identity issues, things like that. Oh, there's just a couple more, so just bear with me. LGBTQ plus rights, of course, they want to just get rid of those. Protections against discrimination out, gender identity recognition out, transgender healthcare out. National security and foreign policy, they basically want to get rid of alliances, pull out of different agreements, NATO, for instance.
Yeah.
Right?
Boards, yeah.
So that's going to create complete instability internationally. Around the world, okay? Economic policies, proposal, of course, for tax cuts and deregulation to help the super rich corporations, right? And then take away from social programs and welfare programs.
Right.
And so that would hurt, obviously, vulnerable populations, low-income families, the elderly, people with disabilities,
right,
because it would reduce essential services. So that's just a synopsis.
So who is this Heritage Foundation?
What's interesting about the Heritage Foundation is it's a conservative group that was formed, but the Heritage Foundation definitely supports all of these conservative values. They claim conservative values, getting back to conservatism. The Project 2025, what's interesting is that so many of previous Trump administration, people who were part of the administration, are behind Project 2025, whereas Trump is trying to distance himself from Project 2025, but in essence, he is part of Project 2025.
Right. So the Heritage Foundation is a conservative think tank that's been around for at least 40 years.
Has it been 40 years? Oh, God.
Yeah, I think so, if I remember correctly. And it's about conservative values. Again, there's nothing wrong with them, but taken to an extreme. It's business. What do you call? Primarily business oriented.
Yeah.
Primarily Christian based, and admittedly, as a Christian, is like, how can you bastardize the concept, the belief, the faith system of real Christianity. It's like that's what I have a problem with as well.
100%.
Yeah, and
So if, but, sorry, go ahead.
no. So it's basically a machine that really takes into account and tries to forward the interests of businesses
Uh-huh.
under a Christian based philosophy.
Yeah.
And it's
So
like,
if Trump is trying to distance himself from this 2025 thing,
Claiming to.
aiming to,
yeah, because he sees all the blowback in the media. He is a king of media. Come on, he's only here because of the success of The Apprentice.
Yep.
He's only here because of his self-promoted art of the deal and how he's a businessman. He's
I
not.
never watched The Apprentice. I don't know anybody who has.
There's a lot
Well,
of people who do. Yeah, and it's
yeah.
like if we all collectively know the phrase "you're fired," that's the epitome of what his mindset is. He wants to be the leader. He wants to be the king. He
Yeah.
has no interest in being president because it's a democratic republic. He wants to be king.
He wants to be king and then line his pockets in
Correct.
any way he can by that opportunity.
Correct.
Right. It's what AOC said last night at the DNC.
Yes.
Just so everybody knows, we're recording the show on Tuesday. What's the date?
August 20th. Yeah.
August 20th. So last night was the first night of the DNC. Tonight's going to be the second night. But last night, AOC was speaking very powerfully and saying, Donald Trump, all he is a two-bit union buster.
Yeah.
And he just wants to take advantage of, she said
he
would sell this country for $1 if it meant lining his pockets and greasing the palms of his wealthy Wall Street friends.
Yeah.
And I was
Wall
like,
Street and I wanted to add to her and Silicon Valley because
that's true.
There's so many tech bros who are there because they have this idea of how this country.
Elon Musk.
Oh
yeah.
Fuck
don't even get me started.
Wall
yeah,
Street,
seriously.
Fuck you.
Do you know what I did? Do you know what I did? After that fucking Elon Musk interview with Trump, I sold all of my Tesla stocks at a loss. I was like, fuck. Oh yeah. I was like, I'm so fucking done with him. Yeah.
Wow. Principles.
Yeah. No. I couldn't deal. I could not.
Integrity.
And I was like, I took a loss. It's not like I had massive stocks, but I had stock. I took a loss and I'm like, fuck you. I cannot be associated with this person anymore. Yeah. So look, I'm not saying I'm a hero, but I just felt such visceral anger.
And everybody can do their own part. And that was a part of what you do. Yeah.
That's right.
My biggest worry if Trump gets elected is that he will go on a rampage of vengeance.
Oh yeah,
for sure. Anyone. And here's the thing, he has nothing to lose because he doesn't have to worry about re-election. So he can just do whatever the hell he wants to whoever he wants, and be able to get away with it and ruin lives. He can ruin a lot of lives.
Oh, he will. His intention is
one trait about Trump I can say is that he speaks his truth. He has said on day one he will be the dictator of the world.
Right.
On day one. Just day one. And
just day one.
Okay. I will take you for a word because you have not been truthful.
Wait, has he declared that he's
yeah. On day one. He goes, I don't want to be a dictator. Well, except day one. I'm just making what is that word in journalistic terms? I'm repeating what he says in my own words, but he did say on day one, he will,
you're paraphrasing what he said, but he pretty much said that. And he also has suggested that he's not adverse to the idea of using the military on day one if he needs
to do what?
To take control. If there's any resistance or anything like that, when he becomes president again, then he would use the military. Yeah. So we know he's capable of it.
And your fear is legitimate, Kelly. I mean, he is out there for vengeance. I think with all the stories about this man and why he's on a rampage tour is because he was made fun of at the White House Correspondents' Dinner by President Obama. And now the Democrats, because of Tim Walz,
because he said they're just weird, and
Yeah.
now that has taken a life of its own, so they're always being called weird, and Trump cannot
Weird as hell.
stand it.
Yeah.
Weird as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we all know that this is the possibility, and that's why we have to work like hell,
Yeah.
do whatever we can
Yeah.
so that he does not become the president again, and we put Kamala Harris and Tim Walz into the White House,
Correct.
so that we can move forward, right? What I loved seeing last night at the DNC was what you mentioned before, Tamlyn, about inclusiveness, right? The inclusivity. You looked at that whole audience, and I'm sure
Yeah.
that's what it was like in 2008 with Obama. And the
Yeah.
colors, all the colors of this country, and the representation, and the different walks of life. It was such a beautiful thing that this is what America is.
Yeah.
And this is what America is made up of,
Yeah.
right? And this kind of inclusivity where no one is left behind, no one's left out.
Mhm.
We all have a say, because this
Mhm.
is how democracy works,
Correct.
right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
there was a split screen that someone created a meme from the Republican National Convention where everybody was holding posters that said "deportation now" or something
Mass
like that.
deportation now.
Mass deportation now. And then the split screen of last night of the DNC was all USA,
USA. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I put out a post last night when I saw those signs and people were chanting USA, USA. That used to have kind of a negative connotation
Yeah.
because it was used by Trumpers. And that was almost like a divisive chant.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Right?
That's
I
true.
remember
Right?
that.
Remember, because it was really
Yeah.
about
And
like
that's so
USA,
sad.
USA meaning like a white USA. We don't want the immigrants here. We don't want, we only want to be with our kind. But when I heard it last night at the DNC, I'm like, oh my God,
We got to
they're
take that back.
they're
Yes.
reclaiming what that really means. And
Yeah.
when you chant
Yeah,
USA,
I feel you there. I feel you. I guess because we're still in the afterglow, of the Olympics and hearing,
oh yeah,
because it's competition. It's
yeah,
and so hearing USA has always been a great thing. But I do understand when you're saying, reflecting back, when the Republicans used the chant USA as a weapon. That's
yeah.
when I go,
That
that's
to
not
me,
cool. Yeah.
it does feel, it always felt that way to me when I would hear
Really?
that being chanted at Trump rallies and things like that, because I
Yeah.
kind of would look at the audience and the makeup of the audience, and I knew what they meant. I felt
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
felt it.
I guess because that's the go-to, because they're not intelligent enough to say "Make America Great Again" or MAGA. It's like they
Yeah.
don't have that. They don't have the musicality or the rhythm to say anything. So USA is that, that automatic. But yeah,
Yeah.
I feel you, that to be able to reclaim it with pride. Yeah, that's
Yeah, with pride and really mean it. And like what I was saying about the Korean War and how the U.S. came to South Korea's rescue and all the
yeah,
allies,
yeah.
that's what
That's
America
the
stands
connection.
for.
That's the connection.
Yeah, that's when you chant USA, it should mean that
Yeah.
America is this beacon,
Yeah.
right, of
Yeah.
democracy and freedom, and they will come to the aid of those in need around the world.
Mm.
And so I'm glad that that's being reclaimed, and I hope that that's something that we can embrace again as a unified country.
Yeah.
That ultimately is what we want through this election. Is like, do we want to be unified, or do we want to go back, on the hatred and the division and just sit on that? And that's going to be what this country represents. No,
Mhm.
none of us want that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
It's
it does.
very
I
clear.
am feeling more hopeful than, definitely before.
Yeah.
Very clear.
I have to say it was really big of Biden. I mean, he was forced out.
Oh,
Forced out. I'm sure he went out kicking and screaming, but he did leave. He did
Mhm.
step down.
Mhm.
He
did.
knew that it was going to be better for the country,
He's a
for the
patriot.
Democratic Party, and
Yeah.
that is a real patriot, right?
You
He's
do
a
the
true.
hard
For his personal gain.
Yes,
Yeah.
He's
You
That's
do
right.
the hard things.
You
Yeah.
do the hard. You make the sacrifice.
He
You
made
make
the sacrifice.
Yeah. Well, that's
And
what I
so
loved in his
kudos to
speech
him.
last night. He said, "I love my job, but I love this country more."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that made me cry.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because he meant it. And that's why he did what he did.
Mhm.
And that is a true American patriot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have to thank him for his 50+ years of service,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Total dedication to this. I mean, he's had his mistakes in his past, of course,
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
everyone,
Yeah.
but he gave of himself completely.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we have to really thank him for that.
Yeah, I think I'm using the again the metaphor, not the metaphor, but the images that we saw from the Olympics. It's like he was the spark that lit that cauldron,
Mhm.
to light Kamala's and Tim's fire. It's
Yeah.
like without that, it's like boom. It's like and everybody gets extinguished, and he chose to extinguish his not his legacy, but his continued presidency, his run for presidency,
Yeah.
because it knew it'd be a much more brighter light.
Well, it is like the Olympics. He passed the torch.
He passed the torch.
That's
Yeah.
what he did, right? And his legacy will be forever remembered,
Oh my God.
even bigger than, probably even bigger than it would have been
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
of what he did.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Mhm.
all right, I know we have to kind of wrap things up because Kelly, you have to hop, but
Yeah, she's
Tamlyn,
gonna burn. She's gonna
yeah,
burn.
she's got to
Yeah.
get ready for the burn. But Tamlyn, tell
Yeah.
us from your knowledge the best ways that people should get information if they need it, or about voting or registering, or
Register, you
just
go, the easiest way is to go to vote.org to register to vote and to find information about voting within your own state. Also, if you want to donate or support candidates, look up those candidates and go to their campaign. They're all Googleable. Go to harriswalls.com, which is the easiest one. But also, if you want to specifically go support AANHPI organizations to get out the vote, or
Yep.
to also uh, combat disinformation and misinformation, especially in our mother tongues, because through
Mhm.
WhatsApp, through not Snapchat, through WhatsApp, through Kakao, through
Yeah.
Line, through other communicative
WeChat, maybe.
formats,
Yeah.
WeChat,
Hmm.
there is a lot of misinformation and disinformation, but there are voter organization groups that handle information in language. And there are organizations such as the one that I'm chair of, kappa21.org, or is it .com? Sorry, kappa21.com. Also, Asian Americans for Democracy.com, and donate to those organizations. There are other organizations who really do get out the vote, and to specifically go to our AANHPI communities, especially those who are overlooked or not seen by
Yeah.
the main campaign, and just to make sure everybody feels listened to or paid attention to and heard.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think another one is APIA vote. Yes, that's
APIAvote.org.
another good one.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's a great
Yeah.
one. Christine
You're
Yeah.
going
shared.
to list all of this, right?
Yes,
For
they'll be in the show notes for sure.
Yeah.
Because we want to be able to provide whatever information, because we got to do it together.
Yeah. 77
Um,
days from
I
August
know
20th. Yeah.
77 days from today, so not a lot of time, but man, the momentum in just 3 weeks has been incredible. So we have to keep it up. We
And we're
definitely
always
have to keep
stronger
it up.
together. We're always stronger together.
Yeah. So, well, ladies,
Yeah,
it's always good to talk to you guys. But sorry again to our listeners and viewers for the weird start to this episode. But
that's how we always start. So that was the backstage stuff.
I know exactly. So I figured, we'll just include it all. But anyway, all right. Hey, Kelly, have fun at the
Have fun at
burn.
the
I
burn.
will. I'm so excited.
Burn.
Burn, baby, burn.
Burn,
Okay.
baby,
Send
All
burn.
right.
photos.
Yeah.
We'll hear more stories when you come back of
Yeah.
your adventures.
Yes.
But yeah. So,
And Mei Lee, much love to your mother.
oh, thank
Sustenance,
Yes.
you.
resilience, patience, because
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a haul, but
It's a slog.
she's
It's a
lucky to
slog.
have you as a daughter. She's lucky.
Well, that's what we do. We all know this. The three of us, live it
Yeah.
with our older parents, especially
Yeah.
our moms.
Yeah.
We got to do what we can,
Yeah.
right? As good Asian daughters.
Yeah. Take care of yourself, Kelly, and take care of yourself, May. Take care of your
Yes.
back. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank
And
you.
you too, Tam.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay.
Love you
Love you.
guys.
Love you,
Love you.
ladies.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye, everybody.